First of all, does the president encourage the support of people who showed up last night in these QAnon and Blacks for Trump fringe groups? And secondly, is the White House willing to say right now, in view of what happened with one of our TV colleagues last night, that it is wrong for his most vocal supporters to be menacing toward journalists doing their jobs in a situation like that or in any situation?
On the first part, the president condemns and denounces any group that would incite violence against another individual, and certainly doesn't support groups that would promote that type of behavior. We've been clear about that a number of times since the beginning of the administration.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, we're going to take a look at the fact that the media refuses to ask the question. What question is that? Well, the question we all want to know the answer to. Who is QAnon? And we're going to take a look at that a little bit deeper. We're going to see what Q has told us in the past about it, and we're taking a look at a bunch of different news stories. So you guys are going to stick around and check this out. Hey guys, do I have a product for you? It's called C60 or Carbon 60. A 2012 study found lifespan almost doubled in rats given C60, and toxicity in their body dropped significantly. And why does that matter? Because people who take C60 report their hair returns to its youthful color, vision gets clear, and physical energy is sustained throughout the day. They also report increased libido and clearer, smoother skin. You're a patriot with high standards, right? So you'll be pleased to know that C60 at apexhealth.club is suspended in high-grade olive oil and made with superior 99.99% vacuum oven filtered carbon, free from solvents, in a quality-controlled environment to ensure the highest product standards. apexhealth.club is Patriot-owned. Visit apexhealth.club to give C60 a try for yourself and use the promo code Craig to receive 10% off your order. That's apexhealth.club. Use promo code Craig. Again, apexhealth.club, promo code Craig. Link will be in the description. Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. As always, thank you to everybody. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't. Come here to the landing page, click the big red subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications so you get notified when these videos get posted. Today we're going to pick up right where we left off. We left off at Q post 3570, and we haven't had any new Q post since. But trust me, there's been a lot happening in the news. Today on this episode, we're going to talk about the question and what Q has told us about it in the past. The question is, when will the mainstream media start asking President Trump about QAnon? They seem to want to avoid it like the plague, and probably for good reasons, because it would expose them in their ineptitude and their complicity in so much corruption and criminality that has happened in this country that it may be devastating for certain news organizations to even utter that question. But with that in mind, we're going to talk about that and a bunch of different breaking news stories that have a lot to do with everything happening here on the Q boards. And just a little aside and message here to Alex Jones. You know, he just went on a rant the other day. I don't know if it was today or yesterday, but about QAnon and saying how, you know, we're all a bunch of, I would say just a paraphrase of stupid or idiotic cult members, morons, cult member morons, I think was what he called us. And then, you know, in the same breath, he turns around and goes, well, not all Q people are bad, because he knows it's a large swath of people who may be in his audience. So he has to cover his tracks and say, well, not all Q people are bad. But then he calls every Q member a cult member moron. And, you know, I don't know. You guys can think what you want about Alex Jones. I just think it's interesting that he seems to be very threatened by QAnon. And now he's trying to relay a message that we're going to be framed for some kind of false flag. And it's like we didn't know that already, Alex. And then for him to say it in the ways that he did, presenting his arguments, it just was, to me, it's obvious that that man cares only about traffic and views, and he could care less about anything else besides the bottom line and the money that he's making, because, you know, you listen to a guy like that speak so just completely maliciously about people who follow this movement, and it's really sick. To be honest with you, I can't even watch Alex Jones anymore, because it's like watching somebody who has bipolar disorder, and it's really disturbing, because, you know, one minute they're hot, one minute they're cold, one minute they hate you, one minute they love you. I remember when I was sitting with my family, and this is when I really drew the line with Alex Jones and just stopped watching him pretty much. was we were watching him, and it was right around the time with all that was happening with Syria, and he's on there going, F President Trump, F his family, I effing hate him, like a psychopath, like a literal bipolar psychopath. And then the next day, oh, well, I love President Trump. You know, I just got heated. And you're like, no, you have mental issues. You have a mental instability. But if you guys like that, you know, by all means, go watch Alex Jones. I'm not going to tell you not to. He's red-pilled a lot of people, brought a lot of truth out there. But the more I watch that guy, the more I follow his work, it's going into a very dark place right now. And we'll have to see how that all ends up for him. Yeah, nice guy, right? Anyway, that's where we're going to pick up. But if you guys haven't, please come back here, watch these last few videos, share them on your social media. Because as I always say, look, what's happening with YouTube is they've targeted certain channels, certain people who are bringing news that's going around the mainstream media, chokehold on the narrative, and it's going around the fake news. And we're delivering a different opinion, a different set of analyses, and they don't want us to do that. They don't want us to have that right or that ability. They don't want us to have freedom of speech. They don't want us to have the ability to come together and have a conversation about what's going on. And with that being said, it makes it that much more important that you scroll down the bottom of this video and hit that share button. When you hit that share button, look, it makes a huge difference. And I can tell you guys right now that that is going to help the channel out more than you guys could ever realize. And you're scratching your head going, what is QAnon the Great Awakening? Please watch this video. It'll give you all the information you need and a whole lot more. So watch all these videos, share them on your social media, get the word out that way. That helps out the channel immensely. So today we're going to start. This is one that Anons are going crazy about. And it's not strange to me because I watch Fox Business and I watch CNBC a lot to get ideas for, not just news stories, but, you see what's going on with the market, different I've always been a fan of studying the market. Let's put it that way. So there's this company called Investco QQQ. And I think its stock symbol is QQQ. And look, if you've watched the market for years, like I have, you've all seen this stock. It runs across the screen all day. It's an exchange traded fund based on the NASDAQ. It has a bunch of big, domestic, international, non-financial companies. And it's kind of like an investment product that you put your money into, diversify, whatever. So this is interesting to me, though, because what the Anons are pointing out here, when you watch this video that President Trump tweeted yesterday, it actually, if you watch it here, you can see the bottom, the chyron at the bottom here where my mouse is without putting it over, that says it keeps running Investco Trust because you see the number keeps fluctuating, correct? So the number keeps fluctuating and it just keeps coming up with Investco, QQQ, QQQ, QQQ. And this is a clip that President Trump picked and chose to post. So obviously, if you think about it, this is not abnormal. I mean, it's a share, it's a NASDAQ 100 stock that is, fluctuating. You have Qualcomm, that's got a Q in it, QCOM. So I don't know how much this is a shout out to Q. Maybe Trump's trying to tell us that Steve Bannon's Q, because that would be a twist, right? We haven't heard from him in a while. So I just thought this was interesting, and a lot of the Anons were freaking out about this and doing all the gematria, which is the number deciphering. And with that being said, strange coincidence, yes. It's interesting to see that President Trump is bringing Steve Bannon back into the mix. Obviously, they parted on not the greatest terms, as you'll recall. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting, and I thought I'd share that with you because the Anons were kind of freaking out about it. Here's a good story that's breaking. It's unbelievable, really. But the deep state FBI helped Hillary Clinton erase and bleach bit data off laptops and hammer phones. So what this talks about is as a part of Hillary Clinton's agreements with the FBI, I think there were multiple ones, and her lawyer / former chief of staff, Cheryl Mills, however that worked, they basically, at the FBI, agreed to have like limited access to certain emails and communications on Hillary Clinton's laptop and phones. And then as a part of that agreement, they agreed to destroy the evidence. They agreed to help bleach bit data off the laptops and hammer and destroy the cell phones. Now, why would a Federal Bureau of Investigation, why would the Federal Bureau of Investigation destroy evidence in an ongoing investigation? Why? Because they're all corrupt. At least the ones that were working Hillary Clinton's case. And the ones that were working Hillary Clinton's case were people like Peter Strzok, who had an enormous animus toward the president and had talked about establishing some kind of insurance policy and making sure that President Trump never was able to stay in office or get in office. So this is what we're up against. And it gets so much worse. I mean, there's national security implications to it all. Look at the reporting of Mary Fanning and Alan Jones over at the American Report. I'm going to leave a link to this website. You guys should go start reading about this. But what happened? President Trump was set up by the Obama administration. Obama administration officials were involved in one of the largest and most Orwellian, authoritarian, fascistic type of information control / surveillance that you could ever imagine. They had tools such as the Hammer, which was verified by WikiLeaks, which once exposed prompted this whole Russia investigation, this whole hoax. James Comey leaked the memos to the press in order to start the Russia investigation the day after General McInerney came on Operation Freedom, which was a radio show with Dave Yonda, and exposed the fact that the Obama administration was illegally using a surveillance tool called the Hammer that was being run by a guy named Dennis Montgomery, who later became a whistleblower back in 2015 and went to the FBI, mind you, James Comey's FBI, and handed over 47 hard drives worth of information that proved, allegedly beyond a reasonable doubt, that Obama, Brennan, Clapper, and the rest were involved in illegal political spying on their political opposition. And they were illegally surveilling U.S. citizens without any warrant or any predicate or any real reason other than they were their political enemies. Now they've tried, there's so much more to this story, which is why I would just point you guys to this website and start reading through the articles here. There's not that many articles, but there's enough to really paint the picture. You just got to remember one thing. What happened here was President Trump found out that he was being spied on illegally. President Trump, and that was from, I think, Admiral Rogers, who went to Trump Tower after President Trump got elected. And Admiral Rogers says, look, I've been looking into this FISA court, these FISA warrants, and this system that they were using in these inquiries. And they're targeting you and many of your officials without any predicate. Furthermore, I think that Admiral Rogers said, and we have reason to believe that they've been illegally using at the CIA with the Obama administration, basically foreign surveillance tools against the domestic population, against American citizens, which is very illegal. Which, if you'll recall, in, I believe it's the Clown or CIA chart or whatever, they're not meant to be spying on the domestic population. The clowns are only supposed to be meant to be used for foreign surveillance and intelligence gathering. But you see it for yourself. It's all here. The evidence is here. Just you can sift through it, read through these articles. The point being, though, that there were a lot of patriots inside of our military who saw this happening, and they stood up against it. And they're still standing up against it with the president as we speak. Now, other individuals have other motivations, but if you're a patriot and you love this country, I would suggest that you read all of this information and make up your mind for yourself, because this information tells exactly what happened. And why President Trump said they were tapping my wires. Why President Trump says they committed treason. Why President Trump says it was a coup. Why President Trump says it was a hoax from the beginning. I believe the President of the United States. I'm a U.S. American citizen. I love this country. I want the best for this country. I'm a patriot, which is not the patriot as defined by Google, where it calls us chauvinists and xenophobes. No, I'm a patriot who just loves my country and wants the best for it and everyone in it, regardless of what your race or your religion or whatever. I want us all to succeed together. And you know what? I don't want foreign influence. We need to start examining the influence of countries like Qatar. Do you want to know why the fake news media continues to just be the fake news media and refuses to report on stories that matter and continually lies and propagandizes and continually demoralizes and misinforms the American people? You want to know why they do it? Because a thing called foreign influence. That's all it is. It's a combination of foreign influence and I would say willful ignorance or malicious ignorance, one or the other, right? But the fact is, this is a great place to start if you want to get an idea of how not only was our country sold out by these criminals, but then they were illegally abusing its surveillance apparatuses against U.S. American citizens unduly, and then it goes into Benghazi and what happened there and how that was all set up. I mean, I have sources that are very close to the situation in Benghazi who tell me that they wanted to get rid of Ambassador Stevens. That's speculative, but why would they want to get rid of a sitting U.S. ambassador in Libya? Could it possibly be because he was going to blow the whistle on the pipeline from the U.S. politicians to Qatar, who was funneling weapons to Al-Qaeda-like terrorist groups across the Middle East? And he was going to blow the whistle on the fact that, or he had just seen something he shouldn't have seen with regard to how the weapons were being trafficked in to these conflict zones, and how the people who were probably trafficking the weapons in there weren't the enemy. They were people who are inside of our own government. That's a question. I'd like to see the mainstream media report on this, but they won't, because they're liars and they're fake news, and they don't want you to be informed. They just want to run their propaganda and sell you, your whatever, your I can't even think, your pharmaceuticals. Watch CNN for 5 seconds. It's all pharmaceutical ads. So we all know who runs that network's advertising. And so go check that out. There's a lot there. There's a lot more there too that I'm probably missing. I'm sure I know Mary Fanning pretty well. We've had a lot of conversations about all this. She's an expert on all of this, and so is Alan Jones, who's been working with her for a while. So you can read their work and make up your mind for yourself. Share all that on the social media with the fake news and see maybe if they actually try to cover it. So here we go. Bernie Bros. I guess Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is getting rid of the Bernie Bros in her staff, aka it is Sakai. I can't say these names. Sakate Chakrabarti. Yeah, I'm sure I got that right. Her chief of staff, and Corbin Trent, her director of communications, who through their work with Justice Democrats. And remember, I gave you this. I read you an article by Mike Huckabee the other day about the Justice Democrats and their infiltration of the Democratic Party, and their placing candidates, these radical candidates, in my opinion, with the sole and express intent of making people like Bernie Sanders seem moderate. This is the way I see it. If you look at the people who are running the show with AOC, obviously, I don't think she's bright enough to, she could barely do a live stream and cook. I don't know how people think that she's, writing all of her own speeches and doing all this. Like, it's just, especially given the level of intelligence you can tell she has when just hearing her speak. So with that being said, the brains behind her operation were these two Bernie Bros, who Bernie basically, look, Justice Democrats was an organization that has been trying to do this. They're trying to push the political spectrum on the left so far out there that, like I said, it makes Bernie Sanders look moderate, which gives Bernie Sanders a chance at the general election in 2020. But it's a failing strategy because these people have gone so far off the deep end that they literally are going to be the downfall of the Democratic Party. People like AOC, Ayanna Pressley, Rashid Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, those people are going to destroy that party because they are anti-American nut jobs, morons. Okay, moving on. The next one here, Bill Maher interrupted by pro-Trump protester on live show. it's kind of a funny clip. You know, you can tell he's scared too, which, you know, rightfully so. Some guy just stands up and starts yelling in the middle of your show. But at the same time, I think he knows what's going on here, and that's what's quite obvious about it all. So now let's talk about a few other things. The question. There's a few ways that we can interpret this. There's been a few times where Q has talked about it in the past, but what Q has told us in the past is that the question must be forced because the mainstream media won't ask it. Why the mainstream media won't ask it? They asked it one time, and it was a kind of a question that was a little bit loaded with the fact that it was in the White House press room, and Sarah Sanders was asked by a reporter whether President Trump supports what the reporter said were violent movements like QAnon and I think it was like the, yelling at Jim Acosta and hurting his feelings or something like that. Something ridiculous. And Sarah Sanders just replied, look, we don't support any violent movements. And that was kind of a generic response where they just kind of moved on. But what's important to remember is Q's given us a few insights in this. First, he gave us this tweet in this older post where it says, this guy who was with President Trump. This is pretty incredible. Remember the VIP in Anon who was at a Trump rally, and he walked up to President Trump, and he says that he went to have his photo taken with him, and he said, I have a question. President Trump said, okay, and the guy says, is Q real? And President Trump apparently looked him right in the eye, paused for an uncomfortable second, then threw out his hands to the side and said, I don't know, maybe. And after another pause, he said, I do know they are great people. And this guy said, yes, they are. So that immediately is all the proof you need to know what we're doing here is definitely being looked at by others. And the fact of the matter is, look, they're going to keep attacking us. We have the mainstream media coming after us. I was kind of surprised at what happened, but now I'm starting to see it as a larger attack against the Q movement as a whole, where the Huffington Post wrote a hit piece about my channel. And then the next day, you have this story from Yahoo News, which is basically taking an FBI document out of context from months ago and trying to portray people who follow this movement as some sort of extremists when it's quite the opposite. Listen, all I can do is speak for myself, but I know that on this channel, I've never advocated for violence once. I've always, told everyone here that we need to do research and we need to come to lawful conclusions, and that everything's going to have to work, legally through a court of law or with the military. So, I mean, I'm pretty straightforward up front about all of it. And now we're just waiting on the Q to be asked of the president. So here's another example of other posts that we've gotten from Q that talk about this. And I want to share them with you. First off, it's this one where an Anon basically gives this link to this article. Now, this is a strange article once you read it. It's come from America.org with a K, and it says QAnon the path to dictatorship. And this was written by Brock Dorsey. Now, a lot of people, the Anons were like, who is Brock Dorsey? Is that David Brock and Jack Dorsey of Twitter and Media Matters? I don't know. Did they co-write this article? Well, you can read through the article for yourself. I'm not going to read you the whole thing, but I'll read you its conclusions because I think those are worth sharing as what they concluded back in June of 2018 about Q, saying, QAnon's world is built upon a presumed great awakening within public consciousness, but this awakening might actually be a conditioning of the masses to rally behind Trump's military order at any cost, and its likelihood of success is very considerable. It is without a doubt that any attempt to remove Trump, no matter what the grounds or the crime, will be met with the full wrath of most of our country, with at least half of the population firmly behind Trump, unironically the half who is most likely to own a firearm, and a power of a strengthened military at his disposal. Trump should be able to seize the throne without much resistance. It's possible that Q is just a conspiracy theory, and it's also possible that it's real, but to assume either may underestimate its purpose and its potential. Q may be instead a sign of the empire to come and a powerful weapon in crafting its long overdue reign. If this is a case, we can look forward to an end of many of the liberal woes we've seen over the last 50 years. So, look, so you have this article here, who knows who wrote it, talking about how this is some attempt by President Trump to become some kind of dictator, which is a joke, laughable. And then you have on the other end of the spectrum, you got Alex Jones saying that we're all a bunch of cult member morons. And in between are 99.99999% of everyone who are patriots, who love their country, who want to see people who commit crimes be held accountable. Whether you are corrupt and taking bribes from foreign countries, selling secrets to foreign countries, selling information that would undermine our intelligence agencies and assets abroad, i.e. what happened with Clinton email server and the 18 to 20 CIA officers in China, or if it's, what happened with the DNC and their emails and the whole server, and the fact that they're trying to tell us that it was WikiLeaks and the Russians, when we all know that it's most likely Seth Rich and his jump drive, and then it was passed to Kim.com, who passed it to WikiLeaks. That all aside, then you have the other things with Jeffrey Epstein and Nexium and verified, validated examples of child human trafficking, child sex trafficking, and they still call us deranged conspiracy theorists, even though we're showing them the evidence that they're wrong. It's crazy. Anon says Brock Dorsey with the mention of Corsi, and then BS meter off the charts with this one. Q says, we are waiting for a reporter to ask the ultimate question. What are they waiting for? They can end this at any time by simply asking POTUS, right? We may have to force this one. So the next one is Anon saying, I almost hope they don't ask. It would be fun to watch them try to manage the spin when 90% of the country is aware of you and all that you've been shining a light on, while the mainstream media still can't acknowledge it. I can see them squirming now. And Q says an important message, and this is where I'm going to basically wrap it up here. It says, it must happen. Conspiracy no more. Think of every post made. It would force us to prove everything stated to avoid looking crazy, correct? What do they fear most? Public awakening. If they ask, they self-destruct. They know this is real. See attacks. The build is near complete, growing exponentially. You are the frame. You are the support. People will be lost. People will be terrified. People will reject. People will need to be guided. Do not be afraid. We will succeed. Timing is everything. Think Hubert. Think DOJ, FBI reorganization. Think child sex arrests, news. Think resignations, loss of control. How do you remove evil and power unless you reveal the ultimate truth? It must be compelling to avoid a divide. Political attacks, optics. We are the majority, growing worldwide. Sheep no more. Together. Q. And there you go. That's why they won't ask the question. Because they'll self-destruct. Asking the question, if they ask the question and President Trump says, or whoever says, yes, I am QAnon, and everything that we've been putting on the boards is real. Like it says here, it would force them to prove everything they said, or else they would look crazy. And the mainstream media is terrified of that. Because then, if they come out and say everything's real, then it would make them look like the worst, most inept, and complicit, feckless, useless media ever. Quite simply put, because they refused to investigate and report on a story of a magnitude that was so large that it would show that there's actually a huge conspiracy happening with human trafficking and occult ritualism and you name it. So that's where we're at, ladies and gentlemen. That is where we are at. That's where I'm going to leave it. Thank you guys so much for coming here. A few more things before we go. Obviously, if you want to help out the channel, the best way to do it is to come here and check a few things out. You can come here to the landing page, watch these videos, share them on your social media, hit that subscribe button, and leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below. I want to hear what you guys have to say about all of this. Also, if you want to support the channel, go download the Brave browser. I actually use it now, and I've been using it for a while now. I absolutely love it. I want you guys to go download it and give it a shot. All you do is come here to the link in the description, click this button, download the Brave browser, install it, and run it. It helps protect your privacy, and it helps support the channel, so it's a win-win. You're not going to see as many ads. It's basically made to make internet browsing even better. So use this link, download it, and install it, and try it out, and let me know what you think. Also, if you're going to be in Miami in October 10th through 12th of 2019, and you want to come to an amazing conference, you can come to the American Priority Conference. We already have a bunch of incredible people coming to this event. I'll be there, and I hope you guys come. There'll be tickets. You can get tickets through the link in the description. So go use that. If you're going to be in Miami, you want to come to Trump National. It's at Doral. If you guys know golf, Blue Monster. We're going to have charity golf tournament, charity poker tournament. There's going to be a bunch of speakers, including the people you're seeing here. So Charlie Kirk, Sarah Sanders, Matt Gaetz, Dinesh D'Souza, not to mention there may be some other big names coming. So you guys, if you want to get your tickets, I suggest you go get them now before they sell out. A couple other ways you can help the channel. Come find me over here at JUSTINFORMEDNews.com, the official website for Just Informed Talk. links to the Q stuff, different news sites, and the breaking news here, and of course, the latest videos from the channel. That's justinformednews.com. And I have a Twitter page where you can come find me at JustInformU. That's at JustInformU on Twitter. We can have a conversation over here. That's always a good way to connect outside of the channel. A few other ways you can help out are both financial. There's Patreon, the crowdfunding website, patreon.com. There'll be a link to this in the description as well. You can come here and click this button and become a patron. And I just want to let you guys know I'm looking at new sponsors because, look, you guys are what keep this channel alive, and I could not do it without you. But at the same time, YouTube has basically, they've demonetized every video on my channel and cut my revenue down to basically nothing. So I'm trying to find outside advertisers, and I'm looking at a CBD company that is, I think CBD is a great product. If you guys don't know much about it, it's not marijuana, it's not THC, it's a completely different non-psychoactive element, chemical that can have incredible health benefits. So I may be doing some work with a CBD company, and you may be seeing those ads popping up here on the channel. So let me know what you think about CBD down in the comments. I'd love to hear it. But there'll be a link to this if you want to contribute and become a patron and keep this channel alive. Doing my best to keep it alive because they're coming after it. And all I can do is try to prop it up and keep it going as long as I can, because that's what I made a promise to God that, and to everyone out there, that I will continue to spread the word of God and his light and his glory as long as I possibly can, and also to tell the truth as I know it. And that's all I can do. Also, I have a GoFundMe set up. If you'll make a one-time or anonymous donation, that all helps the channel out big time. But I am trying to take some of the burden off of you guys by getting some outside advertisers in there. And it'd probably help me out big time too, because you know, they're really coming after this channel hard. But anything you can do to help is really appreciated. And thank you to everybody who reaches out and gives me messages of encouragement and support, prayers. It all makes a big difference. So before we go, we do a segment at the end of each one of these episodes called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. For today, I want to read out of the book of Ephesians, great book, chapter 5, verse 6 through 14. And it talks about light versus darkness. And this is perfect for what we're covering here today. It says, "Let no one deceive you with empty arguments, for because of these things God's wrath is coming on the disobedient. Therefore, do not become their partners. For you were once darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Walk as children of light. For the fruit of the light results in all goodness, righteousness, and truth, discerning what is pleasing to the Lord. Don't participate in the fruitless works of darkness, but instead expose them. For it is shameful even to mention what is done by them in secret. Everything exposed by this light is made clear, for what makes everything clear is light. Therefore, it is said, 'Get up, sleeper, and rise up from the dead, and the Messiah will shine on you.'" And that, to me, is what we're all called to do. I'm calling you to get up, to rise up from that darkness. And remember that once you do that, the Messiah will shine on you. And as it says here, the one thing that I really take away from this more than anything, it says, "Do not participate in the fruitless works of darkness, but instead expose them." That's what we're doing right here. God calls us to do it. And I, as a Christian, will never back down. I will continue to rebuke the devil. I will rebuke evil, and I will stand in opposition to this corruption, this evil that exists in this day and age. And they will try to attack us. They will try to put us down. They will try to subjugate us and discriminate against us. But look, we have God. That is something none of them have. And without God, nothing is possible. And as it says, if God is for us, who can stand against us? Because we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. And that's my message to you. Take that out into the world and be a soldier of God and spread that light and that goodness and that good message of salvation to everyone you can. And never, ever stop standing against what is bad, what is evil. So that's where I'm going to go ahead and leave it. Thank you guys for watching. Remember, come here, click the big red subscribe button if you haven't already. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications. And don't forget to hit the like button. Hit it, pop it, tap it, smash it, whatever. Hit that like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more. Thanks for watching, though. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.